She was 118, blind, wheelchair-bound, no family left, no husband, no children. And yet, the world came looking for her. They weren't looking for a miracle. They were preparing for a farewell. But what they found instead was the last thing anyone expected. A woman who laughed, who forgave, who lived. Her name was Sister André. And to understand why her story matters, you have to understand what she was most afraid of. Not pain, not illness. She was afraid of being erased, of living a long, holy life, and still vanishing like she never existed. The first time she was wheeled into the nursing home, she didn't speak. Not out of protest, but out of quiet grief. Her hands, once strong from decades of washing the sick, trembled on the armrest. Her breath came in shallow puffs. Not because she was dying, but because she felt already gone. The walls were beige. The halls smelled of hand sanitizer and silence. The window in her new room looked out to a stone wall. There were no crosses, no stained glass, no bells. No one there knew she had cared for the blind, that she had sat beside the dying for 70 years, that once, during war, she had sewn shut the bleeding shoulder of a boy who cried for his mother. Now she was just room 209, another old woman with papers, pills, and fading vision. In that moment, Sister André feared not death, but being forgotten while still alive. If you've ever worried about placing someone you love in a nursing home, or imagined yourself there one day, this story isn't just about her. It's about what we all fear and what we might all one day find. For most of her life, she was the one who gave. Her hands had bandaged, folded, served, blessed. As a daughter of charity, she had no money, no possessions, but she had purpose, a mission. But now, at 105 years old, her days were not filled with prayer or patience. They were filled with pills and pudding. Would you like orange or banana? Time for your bath. Don't forget your slippers, dear. They spoke to her like she was breakable, like the mind inside her had melted away. No one asked what she used to do or who she once was. The silence became louder than the hallway. She tried to pray, but her voice cracked. She reached for her rosary, but her fingers betrayed her. In the past, she had held the hands of the dying. Now she gripped the rail beside her bed like it was the last thing still hers. Sister André had not lost her memory, but the world had forgotten her story. And that was the cruelest kind of death. On the third Thursday of every month, a nurse wheeled a small piano into the rec room. Most residents slept through it. Some stared into the distance. But one afternoon, the young volunteer playing the keys fumbled. He was trying to play Schubert, and Sister André, listening from her chair, quietly whispered, "Not in C minor." The boy turned. "You know the piece?" "I used to play it for the blind," she said, her voice thin like parchment. Would you like to try?" Silence. She hadn't touched the piano in 40 years. Her fingers were bent, her eyes nearly gone, but her heart remembered. They lifted her hand to the keys, and slowly she played. Not perfectly, not fluently, but enough to make 2 residents open their eyes. One woman smiled, and another began to hum. The melody floated through the halls like something sacred. It was the first time in years that Sister André didn't feel like a burden, but like a gift. From that day on, she asked to be wheeled in every time the piano came, not to perform, but to be part of the moment when something inside her still mattered. In 2020, something unexpected happened. A journalist from a small local paper came to interview her. It wasn't meant to be much, just a human interest piece about the oldest nun in France. But when she spoke, something struck them. Her voice, though quiet, was sharp. Her memory, vivid. Her humor, disarming. When asked how she felt about being 116, she smiled and said, "It's boring, but God forgot me, so I keep going." The quote went viral. News agencies across Europe picked it up, then Japan, then the US. Soon, Sister André wasn't just room 209. She was the second oldest living person in the world. Cameras arrived. Children mailed her drawings. Schools sent her questions. And she answered them all. "What do you eat every day?" "Wine and chocolate," she joked. "What's your secret to long life?" "Helping others, even when you're tired." For the first time in decades, her story mattered again. Not because she was young or powerful, but because she was still fully alive. A resident once whispered to her, "You make me less afraid of being old." She squeezed his hand. That was her ministry now. Not sermons, not hospitals, but simply being here. If you've ever wondered whether your life still matters, if you think it's too late to inspire someone, remember this. Sometimes just showing up is the miracle, and someone somewhere is watching you keep going. In January 2021, COVID-19 swept through the nursing home. One by one, rooms went quiet, curtains drawn, beds empty. Sister André tested positive. She was 116, blind, frail, dependent. The nurses wept in silence. They didn't say it out loud, but they prepared for her to leave. A priest stood outside her door for hours. A rosary was placed beside her hand. Journalists began writing obituaries, preparing the headlines. But on the 2 days later, she asked for wine. "It tastes awful with the medicine," she said, but she drank it anyway. On the 4th day, she asked if the choir could sing. "I want something beautiful in my ears, just in case." On the 7th day, her fever broke. On the 9th, she was eating chocolate again. When a reporter asked how she survived, she said, "I wasn't afraid. I've waited long enough, but apparently he still wants me here." The world exhaled. In a time when millions were grieving, this one small woman in a nursing home in France became a reason to believe. In early January 2023, the staff noticed she was sleeping more. Her appetite faded. Her voice, once so witty, turned to whispers. "Are you afraid?" one nurse asked her. She smiled. "Not anymore. I've been afraid enough for 3 lives." She asked for 3 things before she died: to be wheeled into the garden, to hear her favorite hymn, and to hold the hand of someone who still believed. The garden was cold, but she insisted. "The sky is always worth seeing," she said. They wrapped her in a shawl, set her chair beneath the bare branches. The sun peeked between clouds. The choir, 3 nurses and a volunteer, sang Ave Maria with trembling voices. Her lips moved with them. Her eyes, though blind, looked skyward. A chaplain placed her hand in his. "Thank you for not being afraid of me," she said. Those were her last words. She passed away peacefully that evening on January 17th, 2023. She was 118 years old. The next morning, children from across the world sent drawings, cards, candles. Some wrote, "I want to be brave like her." But maybe the greatest thing Sister André gave us was not her long life, but how she said goodbye. Maybe you're watching this with someone who's getting older. Maybe you are that someone. Maybe the word nursing home feels like a sentence, like the final page in a book you don't want to close. But Sister André's life shows us this. Sometimes the final chapter is the only one that really speaks. She didn't fear death, she feared erasure. And yet, she left behind thousands of hearts that now carry her name. Aging doesn't have to mean disappearing. In the right place, with the right people, it can mean returning. Returning to stillness, to being cared for, to offering love just by being. Not every panthi, yompo is a prison. Some are gardens, waiting for a soul brave enough to bloom. And to those who are still holding on, trying to stay in your old home, holding your own spoon, pretending your legs still listen, you're not weak for needing help. You're not fading because you're tired. Maybe it's time to be received, like Sister André was. And to the family watching this, stop searching for the perfect place. Start looking for a place that makes them feel like they still matter, where their voice is heard, where their story is told, where the piano is rolled in once a month, and no one is ever too old to play one more song. Maybe this story reminds you of someone you love, someone older, someone quieter lately, someone who used to light up a room but now mostly sits by the window. Maybe you've watched them become smaller, less certain, more afraid. Or maybe it reminds you of who you might become. We don't talk enough about what happens when we get old. We plan for careers, for weddings, for children, but almost no one plans for aging. That's why so many people are afraid of nursing homes. Not because of the walls, but because of what they think those walls mean. That they're done, that no one's coming, that the rest of their life is just waiting to die. But Sister André showed us something else. That a place becomes what we bring into it. That love can survive a change of address. That legacy can grow from silence. So to every elder watching this, you are not done. If you can breathe, you can bless. If you can remember, you can teach. And even if all you can do is smile, it may be the light someone else needs to keep going. And to every son, every daughter, everyone trying to do what's right for their aging parents, don't just look for a place that keeps them alive. Find one that reminds them they're still living. And when you visit, don't just bring snacks. Bring stories. Ask for theirs. Remind them they are the foundation beneath your feet. Sister André didn't live to 118 to be a symbol. She lived that long so someone, maybe you, could hear her story and find courage in your own. If this story touched you, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who's afraid of growing old. Share it with someone caring for their aging parents. Or just watch it again the day you feel small, so you remember your life still matters, and the world still needs the quiet grace of people like Sister André.